Welcome to another episode of Adventures in Movies Looks at dot dot dot. This week I'm joined by one of the hosts of Adventures in Movies,
Just me. I'm Blake. Hello.
and I'm Nathaniel, and thank you everyone again for joining us. This week we're looking at The Giant. The Giant is a psychological thriller about a woman named Charlotte who's about to leave her small southern town. She's about to head off to college. It's been about a year since her boyfriend mysteriously disappeared. Now he's back. Along with his return is a murder spree. The movie is
Yep.
about whether one thing has to do with the other. So, The Giant. It shifts a lot. It goes between the past, goes between the present,
Yeah.
dreams, reality. What did you think of the constant shifting?
Um, I did not like it. I actually think, yeah, from the get-go, I had a hard time following. I had a hard time following it.
Right. I agree with you. I thought some of the dream sequences, when I realized they were dream sequences, after
Hmm.
the fact, I was like, oh, wow, that was really nicely shot, type of thing.
Agree. Yeah, that was actually some of the more cool, some of the more cool shots and stuff come from those sequences for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, I think they work really well. As the movie goes on, they kind of become less effective, I think.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. Really hard to follow. Really, really hard to follow. So, what did you think of the story then?
Uh, So it's kind of and it's not like I don't appreciate this kind of thing. It was like part Southern Gothic, part like loss of innocence, like some stuff that's usually and can be very good. Um, I, I don't the story itself. I never knew what the direction it was trying to lead me. I felt like it was pulling me in too many different directions.
See that, and that's kind of what I was leaning towards. Also, I agree with you. I was thinking coming of age story,
Hmm.
and slight spoilers here. We won't ruin anything for anybody. You can go ahead and watch this, but we will touch on things that will are important to the plot. But coming of age story, like you said, lots of innocence. Ghost story, kind of.
Guess.
Uh, uh, there's Southern Gothic tones to it, and
Yeah.
you're right. And then it's a mystery too because there's this killing spree going on.
Yeah.
So I thought you're right. I agree with you. Like it was a little bit too all over the place, and it was like it didn't know what. Actually, I think it did want know what it wanted to do. I think it wanted to leave these questions unanswered for the audience.
That's unfortunate.
It is because sometimes we've talked about it. Sometimes it's cool when a movie ends, or even as you're watching it, you're thinking, and you reach that aha moment. You have that
Hmm.
epiphany, and it all comes together. And maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but it's fun, and that's what like fan theories are all about.
Right.
In this case, it kind of needed more substance, I thought.
Oh, 100% a case of style over substance throughout.
So, what did you think? This goes back into the story. What did you think of the pacing of everything? And there's a lot going on. Well, did you?
Whew.
Or,
Yeah, no, I thought it started off at a good clip actually, and so this movie's so uneven. At times the pacing's great, and one scene leads to the next really well,
Mhm.
and then there's times where large chunks of the movie are cut weird. Is it an editing thing? Maybe. No, the pacing, while at times was good, it was not consistent.
I think it was very distracting.
Yeah.
Like it would, and then you're right. At the beginning, it's pretty interesting. You're wondering,
Hmm.
okay, like one of the weird things about it, and I guess this is more dialogue than pacing. It seems like everybody is talking in like they're referring to things in the past constantly. They're not finishing sentences really. So you're
Yeah.
kind of it's like you're supposed to be in on it, and you're really not.
I completely agree. And also it stood out to me. The dialogue stood out to me because I was like, I've we were all teenagers. I'm sorry. Nobody ever as a teenage person talked like that. And if they did, it's like it was a joke. Like no, it was too it was like too outside of the realm of what I thought was believable in the way their conversations worked, how they interacted with one another. I don't know, it was way too angsty.
It was like what's that show on HBO? It was like True Detective meets Dawson's Creek.
It's a very that's a very good way to put it.
Because parts of it you're like, okay, supernatural mystery maybe, and then other parts of it you're like, okay, this is total young adult tween BS.
Right.
Like when so she's the narrator, Charlotte Odessa Young is the narrator, and then there's lines like, "I look back on my past and now I can't wake up." It's like, all right.
Yeah.
So Odessa Young, Charlotte. I might be wrong, but I think she's in every single scene in this movie. Uh,
She has to be.
yeah, it's told from her point of view.
Yeah.
It's almost like a found footage type thing.
It
So,
is.
what did you think of her performance?
You know, the the acting stood out as being good. Um, I thought she was very good at times. The other Olivia Madeline Klein, thought she was really good. We discovered Val Kilmer's son Jack Kilmer is also a semi-major player in this film, and you know what? Overall, I thought the acting was good. Odessa Young, I thought particularly did a pretty good job.
I think she did a really good job, but I think she was a little bit limited by the script because basically
Yeah,
that job amounted to confusion and fear is
yeah,
basically it.
and sad.
Excuse and sadness, yes. And then the other person you mentioned, Madeline Klein, Olivia, I thought she was the only fleshed out character.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Right?
a good point. That's a very good point. You would
Like,
think our main character would be.
yeah, it was weird. I mean, she did well with what she was given, but very limited. And then Olivia is the actual one. She has like different emotions that she goes through. She has a very interesting arc, almost kind of like
Yeah, confusing.
for right, right. So, what did you? They definitely were going for an atmosphere in this movie. What did you think of the atmosphere of the giant?
You know, that's kind of one of the things that as the movie progressed, I was like, do I love it or do I hate it? Uh, you know, because like I like dark atmosphere. Also, again, like an extremely dark film. Like you had to watch this at night with the lights all off, otherwise you were gonna. There was literally stuff you wouldn't be able to see, and so that's a good thing and a bad thing. If you're doing clever, neat stuff with that, then it's awesome. I don't think they use the atmosphere to its full potential, to be honest with you.
I agree with you, but I also think the atmosphere is one of the better things that they did.
Yeah,
Like it
it's the most
does
consistent. It's by far the most
exactly. It
consistent.
is the most consistent. They set a really nice tone in the
Mhm.
beginning. I'd say the first, I don't know, 15-20 minutes is really good. Like you're into it.
Mhm.
It slows to a crawl after that, and then I don't know. It kind of just it loses its way. But I do think this. I think the highlight of the movie, and it should be the highlight, is when they're having the climactic summer party in that house,
Mhm.
and the whole movie has been teasing that a storm is coming. That a storm is coming, and then it's getting closer and closer, and then the storm finally comes. I thought the build up to that was very well done.
I would agree that that whole part of the movie. I guess that's the third act. The second act kind of bleeds into the third act, and it's like kind of this one mishmash. But
Right.
the yeah, the party, the way that set looks, the light flare, and just like the how sweaty everybody is, like
That was awesome. I thought that was really well done.
yeah, it really made you feel like yeah, they're in the South. It's hot,
Yeah.
and and yeah, I completely agree.
That's also, and this is where we were talking earlier about how it has all these elements to it. That seems like the point when it returned to Southern Gothic because it hadn't been for a good 30 or 40 minutes. It was
Yeah.
kind of a weird turn. One of the focuses, at least one of the things I got out of it, is the movie is about Charlotte. It's about a person's unraveling, basically. That's what I got out of it. Did you get the same thing out of it? And if so, do you think it was done well?
Uh, yeah, I guess that is what it is. You're watching a person come apart at the seams for various reasons,
Right.
and was it done well? I have a hard time saying it was done well because I'm really at the end. I was left like nothing had happened for this character. No growth had happened, and I find that unfortunate.
I agree with that. Like the ending is it's climactic. You get to that point and then it just kind of ends and she has that same confused look on your face and yeah, exactly. It's the whole close your eyes. Are you trying to catch flies type of thing? And, but you're it seemed like they. I mean, there's a lot that had happened in the past what 12 months of her life. There was a lot that had happened to her, and it seemed like they were trying to tell a story that yeah, this person is falling apart, but it never came across that well.
Oh,
Even in the end, it seemed more that Olivia was having issues than Charlotte.
that was such a switch. That point of the movie, and it is right at the end.
Yeah,
That it really took me off guard and kind of. I think it kind of lessened the value of what had happened to, or what Charlotte's supposed to be experiencing by the end of the film.
yeah, because what she's going through is supposed to be very like the whole movie. She's saying something horrible is happening, so there's something awful is going to happen. I feel it, and no
Mm,
one feels like that. It's supposed to be a big event, and then you have some other character who randomly starts to feel it in the last 10 minutes, and you're right, it totally lessens it, and it's
mm.
also very confusing.
Totally. Yeah. I was really lost at the end.
And if you're watching a movie, you should never think to yourself like, "Oh, I better rewind it. I think I missed something." That should never happen in the course.
Especially in a movie with this kind of plotting course.
Yeah, it's a very patient, methodical thing. So there's nothing that you should miss in this. So another part of this, along with the mental breakdown of someone, is there's an actual killing spree going. There is a
Yeah.
murder running rampant. How well was that conveyed?
I was really excited for that and reading about this movie before we watched it. I thought, ooh, kind of cool. And then when it starts out, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be like a True Detective. There's going to be some like True Detective, maybe, Twin Peaks kind of action. Uh, the murders are second fiddle to um, other stuff. Is
To
the best
whatever
way
is
to put it.
the murders, like they're all, yeah, you're right. Second fiddle is a great way to put it. They're always in the background. Like Charlotte's father is I think he's the sheriff of the
Yeah,
town.
yeah.
Oh, he doesn't seem like he really is. I mean, there's a curfew, and there's kind of mention of, let's be careful type of thing, but I didn't even realize that many people had died till they showed like a shrine or an in memoriam type of thing, and there was like 15 bodies or something or candles.
So I was confused. I was like, wait, I was like, is that just a bunch of pictures of like two girls? Or yeah, the whole thing threw me off. And also a totally wasted performance by that guy who played her father. I thought the brief moments he's in the movie, he's really good. And there could have been a whole lot more there that just wasn't fleshed out. I mean,
It's a missed opportunity, and I think based on the synopsis, the tagline that the marketing is using, that's what they felt should have been and was the focus of the
mm,
film. But I don't know, like I didn't, I thought that would be the focus too, and
me
it
too.
it does kind of build to it, and then once they discover the first body, they do talk about. She's like, "Oh, I saw that person last night," and it seems like it's gonna be And then there is a resemblance between her and that person, but it never really goes anywhere. It's ancillary. It's weird.
It ancillary. It's totally ancillary, and we get these two kind of mysterious guy figures that come in that are obviously connected to Charlotte's past in the recent past, and you don't get you get like, oh, they're going to be the suspects in these murders. They're going to be this is going to be fleshed out, and again, those characters almost didn't even need to be in this movie. Um, it was there were some real bizarre choices I thought made in who got the spotlight and when.
Agreed. It was like someone obviously had influences, which I mean, you obviously, if you're going to make a movie, you have influence from previous filmmakers, and it was
Yeah,
just a melange that didn't quite come
yeah.
together well. So,
Right.
your final thoughts on the Giant? Would you say rush out to see it, worth a watch, or just completely avoid?
The Giant is, like I said, a lot of style, and I think there is some good to be enjoyed out of that. Some of the creativity. Um, it falls really, really flat as a storytelling device, and I think there are better things to spend your time on. I'd avoid it.
Ooh, this is a tough one. Really, really, really tough one. If you want to see something that's, satisfying, cool story, then yeah, this isn't the thing. It does. it looks good at times when you can see what's going on. It does look
Hmm.
good. Cool atmosphere. I mean, I'd say it's worth having on in the background type of thing, but be very that comes with a huge caveat. Do not expect to have a satisfying conclusion. So every week you can catch us here on YouTube. We have Adventures in Movies looks at dot dot dot. We also have the quick and dirty version of our podcast that you can find all the major podcast providers. But definitely check us out, and we'll see you next week.
Adios, everybody.